I remember way back in our school years, we used to have these kind of activities, so to say, teaching us to be in silence, fasting occasionally. By fasting, by silence, then we create that calmness in the mental activity. Like in deep sleep, our mind is most active, our brain is most active in deep sleep because it's not been interrupted by other input from the senses. If we have a fast, that's why during Ramzan, for 30 days fast, why were these practices developed? Mauna, silence. Buddhist priests go for silence for weeks together. They sleep in all day or meditate all day in dark rooms where there's no light. To train their senses and conserve that energy. So if we fast, we are depriving the digestive system, give our system rest. If we are not thinking consumes energy, so we start feeling conserves it. So the whole essence of Chittam, Vritti, Nirodham is eventually to be able to shift into moments of silence. It doesn't mean that to stay there in silence, but we have lost the ability of that. So while we're meditating, any of you can put your hands up and say you were silent for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Our mind is jumping. Those memories keep surfacing. One thought multiplies something else, goes hell. And it's all rambling around. That means it doesn't allow the brainwave coherence to be restored, to stay into theta wave. Theta waves are when we are into deep sleep. Those theta waves can be kept in a conscious way in your waking experience. And the reason I'm going into these simple aspects, but they are very profound by taming the mind. They may seem very trivial sometimes, but these are the practices that are used in ways to be able to conserve that energy that is being consumed, to awaken the creative parts of the mind. I mentioned there are levels of consciousness. We go into waking, dream and deep sleep. These are relatively very trivial aspects of our life, and yet they become the 99% of the population. They just are familiar with these 3 levels. And then how to go to from the reactive response to the relaxation response, which is the most urgent need of the day. We may feel relaxed for a few moments sometimes, but it is not enough. It is still not imprinted in your nervous system, and your brain cannot use the technology if it's not in the nervous system. That's the software. The hardware is the brain. And this is far more sophisticated than all the computer technology put together. So I keep saying this, but it has to sink in. At some point, the moment you turn your attention into the body, all that you feel is a computer technology. There's nobody sitting inside. If I want to say who you are is located somewhere, it's not there. We're not going to find it. And yet in our personal journey, identity with the personal, from the transpersonal to the personal, we still remain caught up in the time and space, time-bound awareness, so to say, ego-based awareness. And the purpose of yoga is, with a methodology, to transcend from the personal to the impersonal. What is impersonal? Where is impersonal? Because they're not in time and space. They have no location for it. It's everywhere. So the essence of who you are is everywhere. But that's mind-boggling for the rational mind. Everywhere. We can't handle being here and leave alone being everywhere. So how to channel these powers? And that's what yoga methodology is about. And there are steps, distinct steps. And each one of the steps has its own relevance. And each one of the steps you can spend time enough to understand the depth of it. And yet, our essence of yoga has gone confined to postures of breathing, focus on that. And the moment you begin to understand that they are designed for reaching the mind through the body and taming the mind. And once the mind is tamed, it's like an untamed horse. You see, you've been hearing this and I keep repeating it. I want you to feel deeper what that means, taming the mind. Meaning taming your attention. And when you bring your attention here in the breath, you have become oblivious to the realm of time and space. You are shifted to a new space, which is infinite. And then feeling one with the infinite space. What's in the infinite space? Silence. Everything is contained into silence. Nothing can exist outside of it. And space is it's synonymous with space. Space is the first evolute of silence. And everything is contained into space. All the planets, all the galaxies, all the whatever there is created in time and space. But there's something beyond, which now is being recognized through science, the morphogenetic field, 0-point field, the different names, quantum vacuum. If you say vacuum, there's nothing. In a vacuum, what is a vacuum? But there's no energy. So devoid of all that is in time and space, beyond the time and space, everything that there is contained into that silence. So if that is where the silence is, and that's where everything is contained into, and once you're in touch with and want to become one with, yoga means to unite. Unite what? At the level of the mind-body, to create feelings of oneness. But mind is not in the head. It's in every cell of the body. Every cell of your body is performing over 100,000 activities. And there are 100 trillion of them. How they orchestrate with a mathematical precision, it's our mind cannot fathom how that is, how complex and yet how simply, silently and effortlessly being carried out. A lifetime, from moment to moment. Again, coming back to it, our heart beats 2.5 billion times non-stop, every moment. So that silence is the source. What is silence? How can we acquire and be there? Yoga provides a most sophisticated approach for that. Structured approach, step-by-step approach. And what I'm trying to say is to understand these 8 steps of yoga, how we can gradually and consciously evolve ourselves into these higher levels of awareness. And they are so distinct. So to understand that, we've got to understand this silence a little more deeper.